Good evening, everyone, and welcome to. It's 9 o'clock, and welcome to the seventh week already. I want to change this first. Seventh week of my late nights with Lei, and today I wanted to start a little different and wanted to play a song from 1965. So I wanted to start first with this song tonight. Please let me know if you're joining me tonight. Please send me a message or write in the comment. Say hi to me. We're going to give a few minutes first for everyone to join us. And while we're waiting for people, I want to play this song. And I'll tell you why I'm playing it. Okay? There is a season turn, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to lead, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to leave. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose. A time of love, a time of pain, a time of hope, a time of peace, a time of praise, a time to be All right. Hello and good evening, everyone. Please let me know that you're there and that you're listening in. Hold on first. Gotta me just turn this off now. Ayan, okay. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Late Night Inspirations. This is our seventh week already. And we've had some really, really good conversations. Hold on for a second. Let me just fix this for a while. How is everybody doing? How was your week? Maybe you want to just say hi to me there in the comment section while I fix my lighting here and my setup. Ayan. Let's see if this is better. Hold on for a second. So yes, as I was saying, this is already our seventh week. We are officially 1/3 of the way. I have 21 studies that I've been going through every Saturday. This has just been my personal commitment to either anyone that wants to join me for a nightcap every Saturday. And yeah, so I have been just keeping my schedule, and there's something weird going on with my light here. It's giving me a shade. So anyway, yeah, so I've been running this stream for almost 2 months now. So next week will be our second. Will be done in. Will we would have been running this stream for around 2 months next week, right? And I ran this stream to just keep everyone company on a Saturday night. There's no time to go out now. And just talk about some encouraging stories and kwentuhan, and also sharing a Bible verse per week, because Bible verses, that's why it's called the living word, is it really can encourage you, and it can really uplift your spirit. So if you guys are not feeling so good, if there's some negativity in your body, then sticking around with me for a few minutes would be good. So earlier I played a song called Turn, Turn, Turn. So usually sometimes I sing, but this time I just decided to play that song. So that song, Turn, Turn, Turn by the Birds, came out in the 60s, in 1965, somewhere there. And I remember growing up listening to this song because I grew up listening to 60s, 70s, and 80s music. So those are my influences. So in fact, when we were starting out with Prettier Than Pink, we started this stream. We started playing Prettier Than Pink with 60s music. So we did a lot of sino pa ba yung mga sikat na mga we did a lot of Beatles songs when we started out. And Jing Garcia, are you still there? La ka magawa, no? Oh, every Saturday I stream, Jing, if you're still there. So yeah, so sa band we used to sing 60 songs, and this song Turn, Turn, Turn was one of the songs that we also sang. And at that time, you know, it's the usual has that psychedelic feel of the 60s. And who would have thought, I didn't know at the time, that it was actually from a Bible verse, no? So it says, to everything, turn, turn, turn. So this song, turn, 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 is actually a Bible verse in the Bible. And as I began to study it, what it meant, it's super deep pala. Sobrang lalim pala ng ibig sabihin nun. So again, if you're out there listening in to my stream tonight, please leave me a comment, just say hi to me, and let me know where you're joining me from so that I know who's there and who's listening. All right. So tonight, this is what we're going to go over. I'm going to show you now this Bible verse. We are going to do a study about Ecclesiastes 3. Okay, and again, if you heard the song earlier, that was a song by the Byrds in 1965. It's actually the basis of what I'm sharing tonight, and it's based on Ecclesiastes 3. So it reads, for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So actually the song goes, to everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to steal. So, the Song of the Birds from 1965 was actually a Bible verse in Ecclesiastes 3. And yeah, so go figure, diba, mga hippies in the 60s making pop song straight out of the Bible. So, what does this mean? No? What does this Bible verse mean? So, it's actually, this Bible verse should help us with our anxiety, right? It should help us. I'm gonna take out my glasses because there's kind of like a weird glare. But anyway, yeah, so this Bible verse is actually about anxiety. Believe it or not. It's not about anxiety, but it's about how you can deal with your anxiety. It's also supposed to help us with if we're stressed, or if we're worrying, or if we feel sort of lost or displaced right now, then this Bible verse should be a profound reminder to us, right? So the first few key words that stand out to me with this Bible verse is, well, of course, the illustration here says that there is a time for everything, right? But the whole Bible verse really says, and it's really wrong, no? I have to fix first my spelling here. Ecclesiastes. Ayan. So that's the first part of the Bible verse. I will add the second part of the Bible verse so that you can appreciate the whole thing, no? So that is the first part of Ecclesiastes 3, which reads, again, it reads Ecclesiastes 3. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted. And then it goes on to say, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, um, and then the last part says, I'll just share it here. A time to rend, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time for peace. So it's really about talking about the right timing of, of that everything has its own time. That's really what it's saying, no? And so we can now apply this to our lives. That for just hold on, my hair is magulo. That for everything under heaven, under the sun, that there is a season. So we need to recognize, no, the seasons that we're in. So the insights that I have for this Bible verse is here. So we have a tendency to either live in the past or run after our future, but God's timing is always perfect. So let's be sensitive to the season He is calling us today and just flow with it while waiting for Him to move. Okay, I had to abbreviate it because hindi na kasha. So before I go and before we go and I talk about this, I wanna just greet those that joined. Again, please let me know if you have joined me. So Anthony Caruana says, God's time is always in timing. May mga dahilan ang lahat ng mga pangyayari. Thank you so much, Anthony. And that's so true, no? And I think this is very timely for us to realize and recognize and hold on to in these times, because especially right now, we live in uncertain times, and we live in very like we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. There's no security right now in the time that we live. There's just so many things going on. I mean, ako parang napagod na ako sa kaka-check kung ilan ang nasa na tayo sa COVID chart. Nung first month, second month, tumitingin pa ako sa World Health Organization, sa ECNN, sa mga local reports, tinitingnan ko pa kung nasa na ba tayo sa in terms of mga infections, things like that. Pero wala na, napagod na rin ako sa pagtitingin because we don't know. We don't even know when this pandemic is going to end. We don't know. And then, the whole world was really shaken by this pandemic. So even the world leaders right now, they don't know what to do. Even in our country, like they really don't know what they're doing. Those that are making decisions. So everything is a mess, right? We have been talking about how many people have been losing their jobs and they're not really sure now what they're going to do. There's a lot of children that have not even been able to enroll because of their parents losing jobs, and they're not being able to also maybe connect because they don't have any connection. They don't have the financial means to buy gadgets. So there's just a lot of issues right now, no? So We are officially, the Philippines is officially in a recession, and the world for sure will be in an economic recession. We're going to go through tough times. Now, if you're holding on to material things, like if you were holding on to job security, if you were holding on to your careers, and then all of a sudden right now, there's no security with your job, with your career, and things like that. What are you going to do? Of course, it's going to cause anxiety. It's going to cause worry, stress, and all these things, right? But if we go back to God's word, and if we go back to God's promises, it might help you hold on, and it might help you at least ease your anxiety if you try to believe and understand how things work in God's timing, right? So this would help us ease the anxiety, no? So again, this Bible verse says that there is a time and a place for everything, and that there is a season. Okay, so here it is written in ayan, it says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. If we hold on to this and we just allow God to do what God does, then this will calm us, and we will then understand that, you know what, whatever we're going through, God is in control, right? We are not in control. So my here, my my keywords here, syempre we're always looking for keywords, is that there is a season, there is a season under heaven, and that there is a time for everything. In this time, right, this time, the one who controls this, wala pa tayong mga pens dito. Diba? Time is time is, it just goes on, no? And that the one that has control over our time here on earth is not us. Diba? Do we control our time? We can make activities to make us busy during a certain time period, but we really have no control. Time is going on its own pace. And in fact, we can't even control our growing old, right? We're growing old. That's also another way that we can see time moving, is that things are born, and then things become old, and then things die, and then it goes on, so on and so forth, no? So that's what the song of the Birds, the group The Birds, in 1965 was about. Their song Turn, 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 which is about actually Ecclesiastes 3. So what they did is they sang the whole Bible verse. Their whole song is the whole Bible verse. And that's what they were talking about. They were talking about time, that there's ups and downs, di ba? Time, well, there's ups and downs. There's ups and downs to time. And then it's also a cycle. So, cycle. So you go like that. It's going around. That's why our clock looks like a circle, because time is a cycle. And for me, one other thing that we need to look at is that with time comes also seasons. Ayan. Alright? So, just like nature, there's seasons. And sa atin, di ba, here in the Philippines, they say that there's a wet season and there's a dry season. That's the only two seasons we have. So it's either hot or cold, wet or dry. But in other countries, they have four seasons, right? So they have winter, spring, summer, and fall. And if you notice that during each season, there's different characteristics of those seasons. And within those seasons, there's different behaviors that we should have, and there should be different clothing that we should have. Even the food changes based on what season we could be in. And there's just a lot of things in nature that have to adjust to the certain season that you're going through, right? And so that is something that we can adapt also into our own personal lives and to ask, what season are we in? Okay? So let's try to relate that to a human being seasons. So let's say um we have winter, spring, summer, and fall as like the usual seasons in nature, right? But what about as a person? What different types of seasons can you go through? Okay. So, for example, you can go through seasons of um, childhood, right? And then teenage years. Then you could be a young adult, and most of the time you'll be single. Mga seasons yan. Being single, having a relationship, right? And then young adult, and then you become an adult. And then after being an adult, you become, let's just say, you become old. Become old. And then, in terms of your, diba, civil status, could also be seasons. So if your civil status is single, you're in a relationship, you become married, you can be married, and then you have children, right? So these are your statuses. Or maybe you have a time in your life where, in terms of occupation naman, you can be like a student, right? Because you're studying, and then you can become a uh, an employee because you started working. Then maybe you can become a business owner, and then maybe you can become an investor, right? So these are stages in a person's life, but at the same time, they could also be seasons. No, seasons in your life. And why is this important to know? Because like even right now, no, even as a nation, or as the world could also be in a certain season right now. So there are, if you look at history, there are times, 'di ba? It's a cycle. Nagkaroon ng mga wars, right? There's times of war, there's times of peace, as said in Ecclesiastes. And if you look at history, there are times parang even all the way back in the Bible, there are times where nations or the world is flourishing, but then there are times where it's in famine. So even as nations, we're always shifting seasons. Sometimes we have good crop, sometimes we don't have good crop because binabagyo. And I believe that right now, what we're going through, this COVID, it's a season. It's a season for the entire world. For me personally, I would think right now we might be in a certain winter time right now, no? Because we are forced to stay home. We're forced. It's not the time to. It's not summertime because what happens when it's summertime? Summertime means going out, getting some sun, going to the beach, swimming, having parties, and having barbecues outside in your yard. Those are the activities that you would do when it's summertime, diba? You go fishing, you go strolling, you can bike, jog outside, go to the park, walk your dog, and things like that. And globally, then that we could call that as like a summer season, right? And then springtime is when there's new things. Everything comes from winter, which is like mostly barrenness, and there's nothing growing during winter, right? And so springtime is a time where new things come out, and um, where there's new crops, there's new everything is fresh, everything is new. And of course, winter time, everything dies. Everything, um, everything is covered with icy cold snow. Um, and everything is white. And as humans during winter time, we have to store. We have to store our refrigerators. We have to store stuff because we have to prepare. Sometimes there's harsh winter storms and things like that. So these are the characteristics of seasons, no? Physical, natural seasons. But if you can see, you can also relate those types of seasons, natural seasons, to seasons in our life, right? So as I said here, um, we also experience different seasons. And within those seasons, um, there's different characteristics also and behaviors that are appropriate for that season. So, let's say, childhood, di ba? Childhood, teenage, young adult, adult, and then you get old. So, there's some activities that you can do as a child, but then you shouldn't do now when you're old, right? And vice versa. So, in each season of our life, there's a certain time and a purpose for that. And it's about recognizing those seasons. So if you have any comments, guys, or you want to add to what I'm saying, or if you have any questions, clarifications, please let us know, right? I'm gonna go muna and read here. Anthony says, lahat ng ilog ay sa dagat patungo. Ang lalim nun ah. Tubig ay natutuyo, bulaklak ay nalalanta, araw ay lumilipas, sa gabi rin ang punta. Uy pwedeng kanta yan, Anthony Pwede ba natin yan gawa ng lyrics? At gawing lyrics at gawa natin ng kanta? Ang ganda Tubig ay natutuyo, bulaklak ay nalalanta, araw ay lumilipas, sa gabi rin ang punta. Yan. Lahat ng ilog ay sa dagat patungo. So tama, no? So we need to learn kasi rin from nature, no? And how we can apply it in our lives. So I want to give an example first, no? About seasons in our life and how it really affects. So let's say for younger people, you know naman that there's this thing na when you're young, palaging nagmamadali na maging matanda. 'Di ba? And then, pag matanda, gusto naman maging bata. And then, meron rin na like ako, na ano na siya, parang ako ang palagi kong sakit dito is, palaging gusto ko nandun na ako sa future. Andun na ako sa future palagi. So, I work hard to try to achieve what I want sa future. There's nothing wrong with that. But, ang nangyayari is, sa abot ko dun or sa kakahabol ko sa future ko, kunwari, ay gusto ko bumili ng bahay at lupa. So, nagaano ko, kunyari, in 2 years, gusto ko ng bahay at lupa. So, magtatrabaho ako para makabili ako ng bahay at lupa in 2 years. Ang mangyayari dyan is, kung habol ako ng habol sa future ko, hindi ko na ma-enjoy yung present. Right? Kasi iisipin ko, until I don't get my house and lot, I don't feel that I've accomplished anything. Ganon. And habol ka ng habol doon, but then you're not appreciating what you have in the present. So therefore, you're missing out on the present. What if during the present, meron ka namang mga dapat maging thankful for or happy for, right? But hindi mo yun nakikita because you're always trying to work or trying to look at something that's still in the future. So that could may cause added anxiety or added stress to you because you're always running after something that you don't have, right? And it's the same rin like living in the past, okay? So, let's say you had a failed marriage or you made a mistake, a very big mistake in the past. And it's already been a few years. It's been 5 years, 10 years already. But hindi ka maka-move on. Hindi ka maka-let go dun sa past. Let's say there's someone who betrayed you or let's say that they hurt you very much. And hindi mo siya ma-forgive rin. So, things like that, no? Those things already become part of your past. Even the mistakes that you've made, let's say nga, yun, na-divorce ka, and you weren't able to make your relationship work, and things like that. And we have a tendency now to make our past define us, right? So, as I wrote here, we have a tendency to live in our past. And then we make that past define us. So, hindi ngayon tayo maka-move forward or we can't live life to the fullest because we are allowing ourselves to be defined by our past. For example, maybe we experienced abuse as well from a relative, a teacher, someone close to us. And because of you still are holding on to that fear of that abuse, even if it's in the past, you're living as if it's still here in the present and it's still haunting you to this day. So you have to learn to let go of your past. You have to let go of things that happened in the past. You need to, of course, learn from them. Learn from the past because that's what it should be. It should be a learning experience for you. But don't live in the past. Don't bring your past to define who you are today. Because then, you won't be able to live life to the fullest, right? So, for example, ako, I've been previously married. So, kung tutuusin mo, when you get divorced, it's very hard to move forward because you have this stigma of failure, right? Like society, your family, everyone around you thinks that you're a failure because you weren't able to make your marriage work. But you know what? At the end of the day, you have to pick yourself up and then you have to brush brush off if ever you've fallen flat on your face. Get up, assess, learn from your mistakes, and then move forward. Make steps to move forward. Because we all make mistakes, but don't let your mistakes in the past define who you are, right? Your definition of who you are actually should come from God. Because it's God who can really tell you who you are and who your identity is. My identity doesn't come from my previous marriage, right? It doesn't even come from my present marriage. My identity comes from God. So, in that way, mas stable, right? So, uh, so what's the connection, no, from the Bible verse about for everything there is a season, a time, for every purpose under heaven. So recognize where you're at already now. What season are you in your life? When we go through hardship and I've my life has been like that also. It's like up and down. Sometimes I'm having a great time in my life, everything's going smooth, but then sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes I'm down, I'm low, and and before I really used to suffer also from this issue of like either living in the past or living also, and always running after my future. Na parang, I want to be able to buy a car. Gusto ko, I'll have already $1 million in my bank account by this age. Ganyan. So, it's good to have goals and it's good to have those, but don't let it consume you. Kasi, what happens naman if you put goals and then you didn't hit them? So that will again cause stress and anxiety, right? So, I hope that you're understanding what I'm trying to explain here, where we have to recognize what season we're in. So sometimes we want to live in the past season. Sometimes we're trying to run after our future season. And so if we do that, we fail to recognize the present and to appreciate the present. So that's so that's like one point that I can get. The other thing is another example that I have is in terms of relationship naman. So, and before I go into that, I want to say hi and make bate, and read the comments here. Um, we have more comments. Ayan, si Anthony Caruana. Ika nga ng River Maya. River Maya. River Maya pa talaga, ha? So ito sabi ni Anthony. Ika nga ng River Maya, umaaraw, umuulan, ang buhay ay sadyang ganyan. Di ba meron pa nga, sino pa? Anthony Castello ata yon, yung umiikot nga yung buhay para siyang cycle, di ba? Tsaka wheel. Ayan. Hey, Laura! Hi, sis! Wow, thanks for dropping by and what we're for your comments. So ito si Laura. Laura, parang I like your hair now. Is that your hair? Short hair, Parang bumata, Siguro season ng pagiging bata at refreshed ka ngayon. Mukhang bumata kasi yung hair. Ayan. So Laura said, we need to appreciate whatever season you are in. Exactly. And Laura also said, besides, everything is temporary. This too shall pass. Ayan. Yes, thank you so much for um, sharing those words of encouragement, Laura. And ayun. So next to my second example, no, for this word about seasons. Sa akin, ano to eh, this is what's glaring to me for Ecclesiastes, no. So another example is when we get into relationships. So may seasons rin yan, no? I wrote it down here eh, that you have, ayan, a season to be a child, a season to be a teenager, a season to be a young adult, and then an adult, and then you become old, right? But uh, sometimes, if you were in this season physically, that you were a child, a teenager, there are certain, diba, there are certain behaviors and situations that are appropriate for those being a child. And if na-disrupt yon, or if na-twist or na-pervert yung season na yon for you, it causes you a lot of pain, suffering, and a lot of trauma, right? For example, ang child that is put into child labor, right, causes a lot of problems for that child that is put into child labor. Why? It's not their season to be having that responsibility of working. So a child should be a child. They should be able to just explore, be a child, have fun, play, right? Develop early on healthy relationships. But what would happen if biglang pinagtrabaho na ang isang 5-year-old or 7-year-old? Nakikita pa rin natin to today. I mean, well, not right now, but nung bago mag-COVID, I would see children begging, right? I would see them nagbebenta um, ng sampagita. This is still happening, right? So that's actually child labor, and that infringes on the season of a child, because ang child dapat naglalaro lang, 'di ba? Dapat yung pagtatrabaho ay nandito na sa young adult or adult age. So then that becomes now an issue to the child, because yung season niya ng pagiging child hindi na respect yung boundaries nun. The other thing about that gets that gives way to trauma for children is the fact that they get abused, physically, emotionally, sexually abused children, because those acts that were done to them, like let's say, like sexual interaction with a child, is super. It's, of course, we know that it's wrong, right? Because that is reserved over here for adulthood. But because it was done in the wrong season of the child, it messes the child up, right? Another example here of the season being not in sync, that the season is not in sync, is let's say that you're still in school and that you're a teenager. And as a teenager, you already engaged in relationships like boyfriend, girlfriend. Then again, that is the season. Teenage years is not the season to actually have relationships, no? Because you are going to open yourself up to so much problems, because a relationship, you should get into a relationship, number one, when you're a little bit more mature, right? Because as a teenager, your physical brain and your emotional brain is not yet really um it's not really mature enough, and it's not even fully grown, right? In fact, as a teenager, you have a lot of like hormones going berserk because it's unstable, because you're still growing. And yet, there's so many teenagers that get ahead of their season and get into relationships early on. And if you see, this causes a lot of pain and trauma, right? Why? When you're a teenager, you should just enjoy as much as you can as a single person. So there are a lot of things that you can't do anymore, or you'll be limited if you're not if you're with someone else, right? There's a lot of complexities that come in if you are already getting into a relationship with someone else and it's not the season for you to be getting into a relationship. How many times, because we went into a relationship too early, that we got ourselves into trouble, right? Meron ba dyan who got into trouble because they started getting into relationships too early on? Number one, ako. Right? That's why I had children very early. I gave birth to my son. I was only 20 years old because I went into relationships too early. That was not yet the season. The season for you to have children is when you can afford to have children, right? Not when you're like in your late teens or your early teens. And then the other thing, the season to have children is when you are mature enough to take care of another human being. So sometimes we are forced into that out of season because we're still young ourselves. We're in the season of singleness and trying to get to know ourselves as teenagers or young adults. And then, nagkakaroon tayo kaagad ng mga anak and we're not prepared. So in that way, we didn't recognize our season that we're in there, and we went into the childbearing season na hindi pa tayo prepared. So, this is the story of our lives, guys, that mahilig tayo pumasok sa season na hindi pa dapat natin season yon. So, and what happens is if we go into a season that isn't yet the right time, it causes a lot of pain, suffering, and stress. And our lives become harder, right? And that's why it's so important to recognize what season you're in your life. So if you're a student and if you're a young person, your job is to be single and enjoy your life as a single person. Huwag mamadali na kailangan mag-boyfriend-girlfriend relationship na yung ano mo naman, yung magiging partner mo, young rin katulad mo, hindi rin niya alam kung ano yung gagawin niya sa buhay niya, hindi pa niya kilala sarili niya, tapos magsasama kayo, talagang it's going to be harder, right? So, what is the season na dapat you get into a relationship? Well, me personally, I think it's when you're done with your school, right? And then you're already ready to start settling down, and you want to like get ready to start your family, then that's the time you should consider having a person, a serious relationship with someone. Because if you get into that beforehand and you're not ready, patay, di ba? That's why there's so many people who they think na they get into the season of marriage, they're too young. they didn't even know what they wanted yet at that time. Either na pressure lang sila, or it just felt like it was the right thing to do, or ito yung pinaka isang common is nabubuntis, right? So like me, that's what happened to me. I got married at 20, even before I released Cool Ka Lang. So not everyone knows that when Cool Ka Lang came out, I actually already was married and I had a son already. And in between first album and second album, I actually gave birth to my daughter. And just imagine how crazy my season became, because I was young, I had a music career, a very busy music career. My personal life was a mess. Like, it was really lifestyle ng mga rockstar na sobrang bilis, na hindi umuuwi, palaging nasa labas, after ng gig, gumigimik pa hanggang 8 or 9 in the morning. That's with having 1 and 2 kids. And I was like in my early 20s. So, kung tutuusin mo, that wasn't the right season for me to be having um, a, a husband, a family, and 2 children. So, by age 23, dalawa na yung anak ko. And looking back, 23 is so young, di ba? And so I was forced to work young. Hindi ko na enjoy lahat ng youth ko because I had to become a parent early on. So, not advisable to that's why it's so important to know what your season is, right? So any questions, guys, or any comments? Just please feel free to post and let me know that you're there. So as I said, these are my highlights. No, is that we have a tendency to either live in the past or run after our future. But what this Bible verse is saying, Ecclesiastes 3, is that God's timing is always perfect. Okay, so all these things happen to us, like me, getting pregnant at 20, having such a fast life in my early 20s. My band went professional. I was only 17. And 17 years old is super young. And plus, my personal life was really very, um, very, very magulo. Like, personally, I was very lost. I was super lost. And it was showing in my personal life that it was super, the decisions I was making was really bad and out of pain and suffering siya. So, so it's only later on in my life where I found God and I found Jesus that I was able to understand that if I let God work in my life, everything will be okay. Everything will be good. If I could just trust Him and not make decisions na madali-madali lang, na namamadali ako, na parang may palagi akong hinahabol, then there might have been a lot of mistakes that I could have avoided in my past life or in my earlier life. So what we need to do right now is, the lessons for today is to, number one, recognize that we are always in a season. So siguro us now as the world, as this pandemic is going on, we need to also see this as a season right now. And what season is that? It's a time of, for me, it's winter time. It's it's a time for wiping everything clean, and for staying indoors, just like in wintertime when there's a storm outside, and to rest, to recollect what needs to be done, and it's to start fresh. It's to start over. So whatever we've done last year, 2019, all the way back to all the other years, it feels like what's happening to us in the world right now is there's a reset button, right? And things have to, in wintertime there are things that die, right? So but we have to recognize that it doesn't end in the winter time, right? In fact, my favorite season comes after winter. And after winter, there's always a rebirth and there's always a new thing that comes out. So yes, we may be in a season right now of winter time where we can't do the things that we want to do, and there's a lot of uncertainty because there's a lot of dead. I'm not just talking about people dying, but it's it's a fact that people are dying, but other things are dying. Companies, um, you know, economies are dying. Um, just everything right now. It really feels like an economic and global winter. In fact, we have to dress like it's winter, right? I mean, we have to get into our masks, our gloves, our PPE, our face shields, everything. So it is sort of like a winter time where we can't go out and just be free to do whatever we want because it's not summertime. So I guess that helps us also try to accept the season we're in globally, no? That's one. So we need to recognize that we're in a season right now. We're in this season of um, lack of that's why we have to be very frugal, right? And kailangan matipid tayo sa mga resources natin because it's a time where kulang ang mga resources natin. Just like it is in winter time, we have to save up, we have to be careful with what choices we make in going out. So that's one. So recognize what season you're in. Number two is, but the good news is, this is God's time, right? We live in God's world. We live in God's timing. And if we can just surrender our time and what our season right now, if we can just surrender it to God, then we'll be fine. It will, our anxiety, our worry, our stress, we can just give it to God and trust that His timing is perfect, that He'll do something. So right now, that's what we need to hold on to. In fact, this is perfect here. Oh. There is a time for everything. And we just need to hold on to this because this time here is God's time, right? And this is also God. God is in control. We are not in control. And the more that we try to control, the more it will drive us crazy. So that's what's happening right now, no? Is because we are losing control of the usual things, people are driving crazy. Did you see the latest? There's an article right now that suicide is up, and as usual, the comment of our government, I don't want to get into it, was really like an inappropriate and insensitive comment. But there is a increase right now in suicides, and these are people because they are losing hope, right? Because they are losing control of their lives and they're losing um, a grip on life. And that's why we need to reach out to these people right now. And that's also one reason why I wanted to start this um, this this stream of mine is in the hopes that I might be able to reach out to someone who is getting hopeless, who is thinking of suicide, who is thinking that they have no way out. Because the good news is there's always a way out, and there's always the morning after the darkness, the nighttime, and that we are just in a season right now. So I feel we're in winter right now, and after winter, spring will come out. And the way that we combat this uncertainty, this stress, anxiety, and worry is to hold on God's word. This is the only way we're going to make it, guys. Nothing material, nothing that the world can offer us will ever satisfy us more than holding on to God's word. So here it says, it's like saying, hey, don't worry. Don't worry because God is in control. He's in control of our season right now, in this time. This is His timeline. And then, one more thing is, we have to let go. Let go of your control. Let go of you trying to move at your own pace or your own time, on your timing. Because it's not going to be your timing. It's really going to be frustrating. You're going to be anxious. You're going to be disheartened, discouraged if you are trying to do something now, but it's not in the right season or in the right timing according to God. You will feel frustrated, and you will feel hopeless, and you will feel suicidal, because suicide is about trying to get out because you're hopeless. There is no hope anymore for you. So why not try to put your hope in God, right? Try God. So this is what this Bible verse is saying. God's timing is always perfect. So what should we do? We should practice to be sensitive to what season we are being called to today. What is our season today? Where are we? And then adjust to that season, right? Don't reinvent the season, because by signs, you will see the signs. You will see na parang, oh, what season are we in right now? And when you recognize that na, we're in this season, then hold on to the promises of God, of what He promised while going through this season. Whether it's a good season or if it's a bad season, God has something to say about it. And hold on to that promise. So the question is, what season are you in right now? What season are you in your life, physically, mentally, spiritually? What season are you in? Is this a time to, you know, recognizing your seasons will help you make decisions in your life? Is this a season to be single? Is this a season to be thinking of a relationship? Or is it a season to be married? Are you ready to get married? Are you ready to have children? So those are also seasons in life, right? And as I said earlier, if you do things in a certain season that's reserved for a different season in your life, it's gonna cause a lot of pain, trauma, and frustration. You'll have a harder life. So it's much better if you can train and learn how to be sensitive to the season that God is putting you right now. And then just flow with it. It says just flow with it while waiting for Him to move, right? So there's a there's a saying that's kind of like a metaphor, no, for God, is that God is waiting while we are working. Okay, so God is waiting while we are working, and God will work. God will work when we are waiting. So it's ano, if we are working on our own situation and we're doing it our own way, we're deciding, we're not praying to God, we're not asking for guidance, then it's God who's waiting. It's like, oh sige, oh go. Do it yourself. Oh sige. Hindi ka niya papakailaman kasi you want to do it your way. But if you're ready to give it to God and you are the one who waits on God to do it, to work on your situation for you, then God will work. So, ikaw yung magwi-wait on God while God is working. So, what would you rather do? You working and God waiting, or you waiting on God and then God working on your situation? Right? So, yun yon. Let it flow. Recognize your season and be in that season and enjoy that season for that season to the max. And be there. Learn the lessons, enjoy what you have right there in that season, and wait for God to move and tell you when it's the proper time to go into the next season. Right? Yan. Okay. All right. So, oh, great. So, Kristia Flores, yeah, I heard that. Thanks, Kristia. Hopefully, you got some nuggets for tonight. Because as I said, right now is a good time for us to just recognize what season we're in so that we don't make any mistakes, right? Okay, so to continue, let's go now to our application questions, and I'd like you to ask yourself, what season are you in now? Um, Personally, physically, in the age that you're at, what are the signs around you to make you recognize what season you're in? And then, as a nation, as the whole world, do you agree with me that we're kind of in a winter time right now? Kind of like winter season where everything is being taken down. Nothing is really growing. Everyone has to tighten their belts, stay indoors, store up their pantries, right? Um, so yeah, and then aside from that, you personally, what season are you in? So that's question number one. So if you care to share with me, just write down in the comments um, in terms of the season. And then here's this other question. How can I turn... Oh, wait, no. Let me... That is a... Hindi na... I have to write down this next question. Oh, this is actually a nice question. Okay, so this is question number 2 that you can ask yourself is, how can I enjoy the season I am in while waiting for God's next direction? Oh, this is very timely for us right now. Yes, because right now we are actually waiting for what is going on in the world, waiting for a vaccine, waiting for COVID to go away. What are we going to do? while we're waiting. So as I said, I feel we're kind of like in a season of winter time, uh, and there's going to be a major shift in the world and how we do things. We have now what we call the new normal, and yeah, so this is one of the questions that we can ask ourselves. And also, number two is, how can I enjoy the season I am in right now while waiting for God's next direction? So I guess for this, we could just, this is actually a time for regrouping, right? And this is a time for us to re review, reassess our lives, and see where we're at. Let's say our career, what our purpose is in life. How do we want to what do we want to do after this COVID season is over? Or what can we do right now? How can we help other people? Um, it helps to help other people to keep ourselves also from like really crashing if you're going through a bad time right now. Maybe be a friend to someone else, help out someone else. For me, uh, so this week was a grocery run for me. So I do a grocery run, and this time I had to go a little further. I had to actually, I risked taking a cab to go to the market, and my cab fare was only 68 pesos. But I was talking to the cab driver and seeing how his life was, and he seemed like a really, middle-aged man who was working hard for his family, really struggling to make ends meet, right? This is a taxi driver, and even if we're so tight now, we don't know what's gonna happen. I just felt compelled to bless the guy, and so instead of just giving him 68 pesos as his fee, I gave him 1,000 pesos as the cab fee. So 68 pesos lang yung bill ko, but I just felt like blessing someone forward, like paying it forward. So I gave him 1,000, like 1,000 that I really didn't have extra to give, but I just felt that I wanted to um, help someone out. And I guess all of us have that innate nature, no? That the more we help others, then it also helps us out and makes us feel good. So, yeah, so those things like that, why don't you try to help other people that are in a worse situation for you? This time can also be a time for you to get to seek God, get to know God. Maybe if you haven't prayed before or haven't prayed in a long time, maybe it's time that you try and pray to God and see how He can work and move in your life, because He's done that for me. He's moved in so many people's lives. He can also move in your life. And um, maybe, but you have to let Him, right? You have to invite Him inside of your heart. So, what else? Maybe this is a time, like everyone else is doing, is learning a new skill. Especially the economy and the needs of the market is changing. So therefore, maybe you have to reskill yourself so that you can get into a new industry, a relevant industry, uh, for now during COVID and after COVID as well. So So there are a lot of things that you could do. Keep yourself busy, but just forget to um, don't give up. That's just the bottom line. Keep yourself busy and also hold on to God's word. So that's basically my my sharing for tonight, and hopefully that you were able to get some nuggets that could encourage you and inspire you to keep on going. Again, today was about for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So let me know if there's something that I can pray for you. Give me, you can type it there in the comment box if there's anything that you want us to pray for you tonight as we end this now in prayer. Also, if there's any other comments that you want to leave me, please type it there as we land this stream. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Inspired Journal. So this is a sketchbook, and let me know if you want your own copy also of the journal. So it's a 21 verse sketchbook journal that I authored, and this one is uh, distributed by Viviamo, the publisher behind the Belle de Jour planners, and I co-authored this with Tina Cabrera. She is the one who actually illustrated the book, and we still have I still have some copies. If you want your own, just message me. Ayan. So if there is no other comments or questions or prayer request, I will just end this in prayer. Okay? If you have any requests, just prayer requests, just add it on as I close this in prayer. So let me just see if there are other people also that have commented, which I've missed. Before we end the stream, I just want to greet people. Ayan. Right, so Miss Jane, I don't know if you're still there, but thank you so much for your message. And okay, so that's about it. No other comments. So thank you guys. I'm going to end in prayer. And again, I'll see you next Sunday. Oh, no, Saturday. And next, my hair is a little magulo. But yeah, so next Saturday will be the 8th week. That's already going on 2 months. Wow. 2 months already for this stream. That's pretty good. And yeah, so join me again next week at 9 p.m. And I'm going to end now in a short prayer. So, Heavenly Father, we just thank you for tonight and for your message. We just hope that this message can reach people that are anxious, are confused, are lost right now, that they don't know what to do in this time and in this season. And we just want to hold on to your message in Ecclesiastes 3, where it states that to everything that there is a season, a time, and a purpose under heaven. And we just want to hold on to this Bible verse to remind us that you are in control. of everything that's going on, that you are the ones that causes the seasons, that causes the seasons in our life, and causes the season in the world. And we know that although we do not understand, Lord, in the entirely what is going on, our job is to just really rely on your word and just hold on to it, and in confidence know that you know what you are doing, and that you know the answers, you have the answers, and that um, you will present and reveal our next season at the perfect time, at the right time, because your timing is perfect, Lord. And we don't understand it, what's going on right now in the world, but even so, we will just hold on to your word, and we will hold on to your promises. And I just pray for everyone out there that's feeling depressed, feeling lonely, feeling frustrated, like you're at the end of your rope, and that you're also you have lost hope as well. I pray, Lord, that you will talk to them and speak to them, and that you will give them a renewed hope in you, Father, that this too shall pass, as Laura has shared with us, that we're not going to be in this season forever. That's the other good thing that we can always hold on to, is that seasons are not permanent, and this is only temporary, and we should not lose hope. And with that, I just want to um, just lift up to you everyone else's prayers. And as we close, I just ask all of these things through the mighty name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Ayan. All right. So thank you again for being with me tonight. I hope that that encouraged you. That encouraged you even a little bit. And I will again see you next Saturday, same time, same place, 9 p.m. PHT. And thank you very much for being with me. I'll see you next week. Bye.